Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Shared Tangos, episode number 7. It's the end of February here, the 24th. We're back with another episode. Today we are talking WePlay, Tug of War, Mad Moon. We're going to talk a little freya steuin action and all of the other news happening in the Dotaverse. It's been a busy morning. I just formatted this computer and the audio issues are real. This is take 2, and we thank you so much for joining us here on Shared Tangos.
It's
high
actually
quality audio experience that it is. Trent,
Yes.
how are you, bud?
It's I'm very thrilled to be here at episode 7.1. I've never speed run a podcast before, but sometimes you got to reset to try and get the perfect run. So this is the run, guys. It's gonna be okay. I think previously we really only tapped on what our context and our topics will be for the day. WePlay, your investigative journalism, and that sounds about right.
Yeah, there might be a couple other news pieces out there. So rehashing everything we just mentioned about WePlay, the big question we asked in the last podcast where we talked about this, which of course was the Bukavel minor, are they ready for a major? Are the memes too much? You know, was it like kind of too moonducky when we did captain's draft? It's like, is this serious enough for a minor? And of course, major is the next level above that. But as we mentioned, I'm starting to think, yes, this event had a level of production value that kept me captivated. The little bits in between, you know, I remember the OD Pixel and Lacoste piece where they're asking each other weird questions and revealing unfortunate things about their history. Lacoste revealed that he hit and run in a parking lot once. He scraped a car and just drove away without leaving a note.
No, he didn't. Really?
That's what he said. It could have been a joke. I don't know. But that's what he said in the bit. He said, I'd never do that now, but it was right after I got my license and I was a terrible driver. I was like, Jesus
I could see
Christ.
that. All right.
How did this
make... a 16-year-old idiot.
And the SFM, dude, I look at that shit and feel like we fucked up. Why aren't we hiring
I definitely agree with that.
SFM artists to do this kind of shit? It's easy.
Especially because we knew them all.
Yeah, we had
them in the palm of our hand. We had Suns fan.
They work for Dota Cinema. A lot of them are eager for work. And that Dancing Drow Ranger, that Around the World shit, I was humming that in my car when I was driving to dinner last night.
Yeah, I've been humming the Spirit Breaker one constantly, the Lifestealer one.
Yeah.
They got me.
It was a cool production suite too. You know, I love that they go all in on the tournament themes. Something else that we've done and that we've really enjoyed, it feels like it just makes the event easier and kind of more enjoyable for the talent. It's like, okay, it's money themed. It's, you know, it's aristocratic themed. Just fucking go ham. And this was sort of similar, the kind of Blade Runner theme, right? It was at the official, it's like 30-20 dystopian future kind of.
Sick outfits.
Yeah.
By the way.
Now, I loved Shiver's hair, but I couldn't help but wonder why in the dystopian future they had hair people that were everyone else is wearing rags, but Shiver was the one with like this beautiful makeup and this beautiful hairdo. I was just like, okay. So in the dystopian future, there's like an upper class that still has makeup people. I like this.
Yeah, I mean that's life. Well, what? Yeah. The men not important. It's fine. Shiver's looking good. The guys, I like their outfits. I thought they looked pretty cool.
No, they were cool, but I mean, did you see those hair pieces? I mean, those braids, it had like stuff woven into them and like little dangly, whatever those, I don't know, those, not bells, but I mean, it was badass, dude.
You know, I kind of thought this would be your area of expertise. I'm not going to lie. I thought you would, kind of have this on lock for me.
I honed in on the hairdos. What can I do? But it was a lot of fun to watch. Do you feel like they're ready for a major? Are you just unabashedly, we play major, let's go?
Yeah. I mean, I think they've proven that they have what it takes. So they should definitely be given an opportunity, I would think. They just ran a 300K event and it looked good.
I mean, we're focused on the front end, the polish, but it seemed like the event itself was pretty smooth. Like minimal delays between games, minimal pauses, didn't really hear complaints about lag. You know, all that stuff seemed... And that's really the core of the tournament, right? When we're assessing majors.
The other big thing is always like the behind the scenes, like the things that you see when you're actually like working at the event. And although neither of us were there, I've only heard good things from everyone who's interacting with the staff of WePlay. They say that they're very well taken care of and they really care about it. And they ask the casters' opinions and stuff about content. So they're in touch with the community, not only because they seem to be a bunch of Reddit fiends on WePlay, which is great. Right. But also because they're asking the commentators directly.
So one of the things that stood out to me, of course, the cybertruck. Now, tell me you got to see a couple of pieces with the cybertruck.
I did see the cybertruck.
Okay, now if you've been living under a rock and you don't know what the cybertruck is, Tesla Motors, right, the electric car company owned by Elon Musk, they revealed their new thing, the Cybertruck. It's not out yet, but they took pre-orders, and there was that meme video where he said the windows were indestructible, and then he throws the ball at the windows, and the windows break, and it's sort of awkward and whatever. So somehow WePlay crafted a replica of the Cybertruck, which has a very distinctive look. It looks sort of like a futuristic DeLorean truck thing. And the replica looks pretty fucking accurate. And they were using it to have the teams come out onto the stage. So Virtus Pro just opens the door and pops out of the truck. Now, that's a great meme. It's funny, very cool. However they created it, hats off to you, WePlay. Now, the next level of this is that it debated some dipshit wannabe car journalists into thinking that this was some sort of a sponsorship from Tesla and that this was a legitimate prototype of a Cybertruck. And they were like analyzing how far it moved and how fast it was traveling. And apparently in one of the introductions, Lacoste made a joke saying that Elon Musk was driving the truck. And the journalist actually wrote in one of the articles that JJ tweeted, like, well, given the lack of lighting and camera focus on the driver, we suspect that it was not Elon Musk. And it's like, yeah, no shit, dog. And then like all the comments are just, dude, this is a joke. Look at it. This is clearly not a, and then the comments are even funnier because they're analyzing. They're like, well, look at the lights. The one that Elon showed doesn't have a light there. And then someone else chimes in, well, yeah, but he said that they were going to add the lights to the future models. So maybe that was one of the greatest debates ever. There's an article on Mashable that I saw tweeted this morning talking about Cybertrucks getting attention at a Dota 2 esports tournament. This was one of the best memes that we've seen out of a Dota tournament since Mr. Midas.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how some people could think that that we can get that, but hey, genius. As you said, WePlay, they just know what they're doing when it comes to these memes, and incredibly impressed. And it did look like a Cybertruck, dude. I can get why people would be like, oh, maybe it is one. Like, of course, if you look closely, it's not, but
yeah. I mean, I'm sure the interior was laughably regular,
Yes. I did see some people commenting, like, is that, like, constant use of other IPs? Do you think that would hurt them in a major sense? Like, if you had a major, would you be able to have fake Dr. Disrespect and fake Ninja and fake Cybertruck and music used in your weight screens that I don't think is purchased? Yeah. Unless I'm incorrect.
So, I mean, I'm going to be delicate about how I say this, but let's just say not every region of the world takes, like, IP theft as seriously
100%
as other regions.
Completely agree.
I
but
think
does Valve?
Russia and Ukraine definitely are pretty high on that barometer of we don't care about IP maybe as much as we should.
I mean, to me, it's mostly parody anyway. I don't have a problem with it. That's not what I'm trying to say. I guess I just think that, sometimes
it raises a question. Like, I think in the case of the Cybertruck, that one, I mean, you are using someone else's IP, and Tesla definitely could send you a cease and desist and say, yo, what the fuck? That is not cool. You're just stealing our shit. That's not fair use.
That's clearly a parody, though.
Yeah, but they're still monetizing it. I mean, where do you draw the line at parody? That thing looks pretty fucking accurate, That's what I don't know. And who would win that battle? Could Tesla even sue a Ukrainian company? Would it be worth it? All those are questions I can't answer, but could Tesla see that, get mad, and try to make a legal stink about it? Absolutely.
Probably. Yeah, they probably could. Will they ever do something like that? No.
No, it would be stupid because it's free marketing right now. But not every brand feels that way. And, of course, it's free marketing until one of the commentators says something they don't like or makes a poop joke or a sex joke or something that's over the line with the Tesla on camera. Then all of a sudden you've got a bigger issue in terms of how their brand is presented. So I don't know, but you're certainly right. I think most brands err on the other side of caution of like, we're not just going to rip off people's shit, and hope it works out, because even if it's a 1% chance, that 1% might really fuck up your shit.
Yeah, and either way, it was, I don't think they relied necessarily on any of that for like how good the content was. I wouldn't say that like, oh, they only had a good tournament because they just like copied and memed a bunch of shit. No, not at all. So I don't really think that would be a major concern for me. To get back to it, yeah, I'm down for WePlay major.
Yeah, me too. So one thing that we were just about to discuss, but on the first take, the financial aspect of WePlay, because like you said, they've done was it 7 tournaments in a year and a half?
A year and a half. Yeah.
That's a lot, and that's all Dota, right? 7 Dota tournaments.
That's what they said in the thread. Yeah.
I mean, I think at Moonduck the most we've done is like 3 in a year, and that felt hellacious and almost unsustainable of just sales cycles and being able to manage all of it. It's kind of impressive that they've been able to do that, but I do have to wonder where the money comes from. Like I
assume it's all. I just assume it's literally all Paramatch, and then viewer, numbers and all that.
Yeah, that is one thing they've done really well. I mean, the Dream Grand Finals, Nigma versus Secret, best of 5.
Also, they changed their formats throughout the tournament to make sure that the peak viewership time would be with the peak viewership teams as well. They reordered matches in a way that you wouldn't usually do in a tournament, which I personally I can see that would be annoying as a player, but I think if you're not at a DPC event, then it's fine. You don't have to go for the ultimate competitive integrity of like, okay, this match should be now so that this one's after, so this team gets a break. Well, when you're running your own 300K tournament, do whatever the hell you want that gets you the most money. I'm down. So they did that a couple times to rearrange that certain matches would take place at certain times.
Sure. I mean, maybe it is possible that they have a big enough deal with Paramatch that they're backing most of this, and now they're building this brand on top of it, and they're able to monetize with other sponsors. The viewership, I mean, they've had, if you look at that bracket, Nigma made the full lower bracket run. They maximized the amount of Nigma that was on camera to a T. Not that it was intentional, but that shit is, I mean, I saw that and just went, wow, that's the dream. You guys probably made some legit money in terms of Twitch ad rev on this event because the viewership was so good. They had teams that people legitimately want to watch, and those teams didn't bomb out, and that is certainly lucky. And I felt the same way at the last minor. Like, wow, how lucky are these guys to have Nigma in this minor tear-assing their way to the finals?
Did you see this thing they tweeted? Sorry, was that what you were referencing?
Which thing?
The numbers thing? Oh, yeah. Someone just linked it in the chat. I think it was Archie. If you look, it shows you the breakdown of how much of it was watched when it was Nigma. So it was 5.3 million total hours watched, and then 3.6 of it was with Nigma games.
I did not see that, but I totally believe it.
Yeah, so that's pretty insane. That's as you said, they have a ton of pull. I mean, they're former TI winners, 4 out of 5 of them. And people just, they love to cheer for these guys, especially because people want to see them fail at the same time because they're waiting for the disband.
Right. No,
it's. But as you said, it's a lower bracket run, so of course they're going to get a lot of screen time. But also keep in mind they 2-0'd 2 series before, right? They 2-0'd VP, they 2-0'd Gambit. Just need a little bit more time. They 2-0'd B8. Just imagine they needed more game 3s.
It's true. So there was something else that stood out. I linked it to you. I need to reread it now. But this screenshot was sent to me from a Reddit thread. And someone asked the question, how is the financial side of things from the last minor? Red, green, or in between? I hope you're in the green. What's going on? And the response was, we're totally as we expected. And even more. Viewership numbers beat every previous minor so far.
So this must have been from Bukoville.
And then the fire emoji. How old is this? Let me see. Who linked it to me?
This would be from Bukoville, I would imagine. Because a previous minor, that was the first minor they did.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. But so then someone else replied with an inappropriate question and said, how do you have unlimited funding to keep running these tournaments? And the response was, if long-term play isn't money laundering, we're totally not doing it. Even more, if I had to pick some scheme for money laundering, I can't imagine in which case I would pick esport events for it. I read that and went, why the fuck would you post that on Reddit? It reminded me so much of the Suns fan PR thing of like, well, we talked to Suns fan and he's busy. No, you didn't. Why would you say that? Just don't say anything about it. Don't acknowledge money laundering. If the long play strategy isn't money laundering for you, we're totally not doing it. I don't even know what the fuck that means, but it is weird. I'm curious where the money's coming from, and I would be stunned if they were green over the last year and a half through sponsors.
Possible though.
If it's possible, and if they are, that is really an impressive feat. They are doing something that very few other folks have been able to figure out in the Dota space. Most Dota tournaments are barely green or red. I mean, like lands, like minors,
Yeah.
DPC stuff. Basically none of them that I know of are, quote, rolling in the cash. Most of them make their money from doing other games, and they bundle them together with sponsors, and Dota is a part of that package and that resume, but Dota as a standalone is not nearly as profitable as a lot of the other games that have developer support built into it.
You know what surprises me the most about them is Maincast. Like, how many tournaments have Maincast done? Like 2?
Good question. I think we could probably
They did the Winter Brawl, they did the Autumn Brawl. Have they? I don't think they've done any more. If I'm not mistaken. Which makes me. I guess I'm just curious. Like when I think of CIS Studios, I would assume that Maincast would be the one who would be pumping out all these events.
Yeah, they did the Autumn Brawl, Winter Brawl, and I don't see anything else. So I don't know. I mean, I know that there's a lot that happens behind the scenes in the CIS region that doesn't get translated to English. So I'm not on the pulse of but there's been a lot of talent moving back and forth. Like Velat used to be with Star Ladder, and then they left, and a lot of people were with Epicenter for a while. Then that kind of fell apart, and then Maincast came into the fray. I think Casper has joined and left Star Ladder multiple times. So it could be a function of Maincast had these plans and then lost some sort of strategic alliance or talent or whatever it was to make it happen. But I don't know. That's a question for Kyle. He's the only English talent I know that's like on the pulse of what's happening in the CIS region. He actually networks with that group regularly, as far as I know.
Yeah, Kyle would definitely be the guy to ask. But no, I just mean like I thought they would be the organization doing this kind of stuff in CIS, and then WePlay has just come through and just kept on going. Yeah. And they're doing events in like a couple other games as well. Obviously, they tried to really get the forefront of Artifact. But unfortunately, that obviously didn't work out too well due to the game not being incredibly popular. And they did Underlords as well, kind of in the same boat with that one, just kind of treading water to hope that
Can we take a moment to acknowledge Underlords and like what is the future of that game / is there a future for that game? Are auto brawlers even a thing, or was that actually just a fad?
I don't know. It just released, right? Or the official release, I think, is soon, if I'm not mistaken. I think Slacks is doing a show. If you look at his Twitter,
probably
it's like him and a lot of Dota talents. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I heard. I don't know much about it, but I know that it is a thing of some sort.
Yeah. So, I mean, let me see. I'm looking at Twitch right now, and Underlords is not showing up with viewers here. Let's see.
Well, that's always a good sign.
I mean, maybe I just missed it, but it's not. It's got less viewers than Wind Waker HD, which isn't a good sign if it is here somewhere. Oh, there's TF2 at 200 viewers. Man, who streams TF2 still? Type.
So looking at the Steam charts for Dota Underlords, the average players has kind of been trickling down, but it seems to be holding steady around this like 8,000, 9,000 mark. Like looking at their daily traffic, they peak around 12K concurrents.
58 viewers?
Yeah, and in off hours, middle of the night, they go down to like 6K concurrents playing. So, I mean, there's thousands of people logged into the game, but, huh?
What did they peak at? Sorry,
12,000 per day.
I can't believe there's only 58 viewers watching. What happened? Man, this game was so popular to watch. It's actually crazy. And then but as you said, was it a fad? Because I look at Teamfight Tactics, which of course is the direct competitor in comparison that you're going to see, and it's at like 6K, or no, sorry, it's at 10K viewers right now. And obviously it's carried very hard by like the big player base of League and the big casual audience,
right?
That views and plays League at that stature, but that's a pretty big difference. 58 versus 10K.
Yeah. Oh, I think my mic just did it again, bud.
A little bit, but it wasn't as bad. It wasn't as like crazy bad.
All right.
Uh-oh. Maybe why don't you reset TeamSpeak real quick?
All right. Well, I think we're bad. That's weird though. I don't know why it just suddenly happened. half an hour into this thing.
Dude,
but
I hate auto gains so much.
yeah, me
it's
too.
the worst.
I'm gonna have to call Pimp Muckle and do a little bit of detective work here on the old rig. But
But yeah, either way, our auto battler's like dead. I don't know. ESL's doing a tournament right now, right?
and I think
Sunfan was just on a broadcast
yeah,
for it.
I'm pretty sure Dota Pit is also doing an Underlords tournament of some sort. And I don't know what the details surrounding it are, but I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I think the game is just not that fun to watch. Like auto battlers in general, what are you watching? You're just watching AI battle each other. It's sort of a different concept from watching most esports where it's players controlling stuff specifically. I mean, they're controlling the strategy, but
there's a lot of downtime between the strategy, basically.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. The RNG stuff was fun. It did feel a little novel, though, I would say. It's not that exciting anymore.
I mean, I enjoyed playing it when auto chess was like a new thing.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was like playing it constantly.
But it did feel like definitely more of a fad in the way that, maybe battle royales were a little bit of a fad, but there was some substance there. I still go back and play PUBG every so often, once a month or twice every other month or so. I mean, you know what? I'm in the mood to play a couple PUBG and I'll play for a few hours. I do not have that feeling for auto chess anymore. I'm kind of over it,
Yeah, it feels like people are just going back to card games. If anything, they're like, yeah, I'd rather just play Hearthstone or this Runeterra game that came out, which is not doing amazing quite yet either. I don't think, but I'm sure it'll pick up.
Yeah.
Tarkov. I mean, we're talking about games right now. Tarkov's the hot shit.
I know Slacks really likes that game.
Oh yeah, Slacks can call himself an OG of Tarkov. He was quite literally playing that game way before it was cool. Like he was like one of the first people I ever saw playing it on Steam. Before any of these streamers knew any idea what this game was. And he used to play constantly. He remember the whole time Minus Mode was being done, every single meeting he was in, he was playing Tarkov.
Yeah, that's what someone else told me that too, that was his like escape from reality when he had to listen to other people talk about ideas instead of just talking about his own ideas.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, he was all about that. So that's the big game that's been picking up and is kind of on top of the streaming world right now. Especially like I feel like later on the NA night, it's just like constant Tarkov players, like your big guys like Summit, and I think Shroud's playing it too over on Mixer.
Whoa.
Oh.
Good old Mixer. Yeah.
So
do you want to talk? Huh?
Oh, nothing. Continue.
Do you want to talk actual gameplay from WePlay Mad Moon? Some hero picks, a little bracket action.
I do.
8 teams. I know who I want to start with, Trent. Team Bait, my boys, the Dendy squad over there. I want this team to work so badly. They were a last-minute addition. They replaced, who was it? Royal Never
RNG.
Give Up?
Yeah.
Coronavirus stuff, traveling, teams from Asia, all that. We've talked about it kind of at length in the last podcast. So good news for Bait. It makes sense, right? It's a Ukrainian event. It's kind of, is poetic the right word? It just feels right to have Dendy at an event in Ukraine. So didn't feel bad about that. They played pretty well in the groups. This event had bottom of each group eliminated. So 8 teams, 2 groups of 4. Top 6 move on to the bracket. So Infamous was in Group A. They were the ones that kind of bombed out. And then Ninjas in Pajamas in Group B. They were the ones that got eliminated with a pretty unfortunate run through that GSL group stage. So
that was a rough one, man. The NIP, I think they thought they were going to do really well at this tournament.
Yeah, it's sometimes the dark side of the GSL format, dude. You're out. It's a quick one. They got 2-0'd by Nigma, who went on to win the whole tournament in their opening match. And then after that, they lost 2-1 against Aggressive Mode. And I actually did not see that series, and I would have liked to. Looks like NIP won the first game, and then Aggressive Mode won games 2 and 3.
And they were in opposite groups as well for the major, NIP and Nigma, so they didn't have to play, if I'm not mistaken. I'm actually going to go back and look right now. Yeah, they didn't have to play each other there, which is kind of interesting, right? Because obviously NIP got the major slot because Nigma didn't do well in their group. They ended up coming third because Aggressive Mode managed to 2-0 them. That was like the big thing that basically screwed over Nigma and got them out of the major. And then NIP, because they're on the other side, they just had to end up playing Aggressive Mode because of that. So NIP, big thanks, I'm sure, to Aggressive Mode for winning those 2 games, because obviously they got to the major, and then you show up here as NIP and get stomped by Nigma. But part of that's probably also because NIP already made the major. They might not care quite as much.
That's always a fair point to bring up. Aggressive Mode is such an odd team to me, where when you watch them play, they have these moments where they look so good. They find these team fights. You can tell Lil is probably calling some shots. They make these unpredictable aggressive rotations, catch people off guard, and they pull out these awesome wins. But then they have other games where they just look completely lost, or they're just throwing bodies at problems. They'll take a good team fight and then just basically suicide immediately after, and you kind of scratch your head and go, why'd you do that? You were good. Why'd you go?
They look like they were just missing like key communication issues, and like they needed one strong voice to say like when to back and when to go. And it felt like, as you're saying, they had moments where it looks amazing because it was just like playing off a field. But if they had just like relaxed a little, they probably could have won more games, you know?
Yeah. But they have the skills. Like to me, they're one of the scariest best of one kind of teams, because you don't know which aggressive mode is going to show up. And when they show up, they're fucking scary, dude. They live up to that namesake more often than they should, to be honest. Like,
I just like their logo where it's like the gorilla, just like yeah. He's in a shield. I don't know what he's going for.
When I was watching their games, it seems like they really like those kind of plays where you catch the enemy off guard by your aggression. The kind of stuff where the enemy takes Roche and then they'll smoke up immediately after and try to go for a pick off right after they've gotten Aegis, trying to capitalize on the mentality of, okay, we just got Aegis, let's spread out and farm, then we're going to come together and take an objective to try to break up that momentum. You know, it's that kind of crazy shit that it does work sometimes. You catch teams off guard when they're not prepared for a smoke right after Roche.
Could also be why they started seeing less success too, because if teams start to see that you're just kind of like running around with your heads chopped off, they'll play really passively and patient. They essentially do the Dota equivalent of camping. They just do everything super safe.
Yeah.
This isn't really a term we think about a lot in Dota, but you can definitely play campy in Dota. It's like, all right, guys, get out the flowchart. What's the next optimal thing to do? We should be pushing the top tier 2 tower. Let's group as 5. Let's go to the tower. Okay, excellent work, guys. Good work. All right, everybody back as 5. Like, that lame-ass stuff, like, shuts down that hyper-aggression pretty well.
Yeah. You see it, that's like one of Secret's hallmarks, I think. They're so good at stopping that crazy aggressive play because they just don't take the bait, and they're so efficient at farming the map. You see that net worth just, okay, failed gank, that's another 1K for Secret. Oh, that's another, you know, every rotation that you do that and don't get a kill, it is so costly if the enemy team is just spread out as 5, not getting ganked, and, you know, soaking up all that ancient farm and shit.
Yeah, this was a very interesting tournament. I see people in chat talking about VP too, and I do want to talk about them as well, because VP are a team that have had a lot of question marks lately. Mm-hmm. They've just been kind of struggling when it comes to like figuring out their identity ever since they got like Rezo on this offlane. I feel like Rezo has like struggled a lot, especially when they were playing in Singapore for the One Esports. But they made it all the way to the lower bracket final this time versus Nigma after getting 2-0'd by Team Secret as well previously. Then they get 2-0'd by Nigma, and it's a really shitty way to go down, especially because they had already beaten Nigma before. They beat them 2-1 previously in the same tournament, so I'm sure they were kind of feeling better about the matchup. But this is a team that I think will start to like dominate CIS, especially if they actually get GPK. Yeah. That would be pretty crazy.
The series of VP versus Nigma in the group, where VP won 2-1, was such a weird series. All 3 games were less than 30 minutes. It was just this like kind of popcorn series that was just back and forth stomps. And I don't know. It just didn't feel, I don't want to say it didn't feel like real Dota, but it was just those kind of one-sided games that you have to be careful trying to extrapolate too much data from, I suppose.
Well, one-sided games would be how I would describe pretty much what happened with Nigma earlier in the day. It's like when they played against VP, as you said, it was like pretty like one-sided looking games. Game 1 looked close, actually. Like VP had that game, but then they screwed up with the Morphling. He got killed by the Lina with the Laguna Blade, and it was just like so painful. Oh, they definitely should have won that game 1. That's what really hurt for Virtus Pro. I actually forgot about that until right now. Is they probably should have won game 1, and then game 2 they lost like literally 420. You know, some dank got stomped in the next match, but. I think they might have tilted themselves out there. They were really close to taking that first game. In fact, they definitely should have had it, as I've already said. But Nigma, they get the 2-0, and then they go to this match versus Secret. And I'll be honest, guys, I turned off the stream after game 2 because Secret was absolutely dumpstering Nigma. And it reminded me of our last podcast because if you recall, we had Nigma and Alliance playing. And I got all these messages after our podcast because Alliance won that game. And I said, oh, it looks like we were right. Yeah, definitely looks like Nigma are going to win this game. No way they're going to lose this one.
I mean,
and they,
I
they
went
lost,
back and looked, and the moment that we checked was, I think, the furthest that they were ahead in the entire game. And if we had just looked 5 minutes after that, we would have had a much different take of like, oh, wow, looks like they're holding, and this could get interesting. But at that moment, it looked like it was almost impossible to throw, and somehow they managed to do it.
Yeah. Alliance, man.
Yeah.
They clawed their way back on that one. I mean, that's why Nigma's not going to the minor either, right? So,
yeah.
Painful. But so after that game, and then after seeing those first 2 games, I seriously thought that they were supposed to get 3-0, and I was like, oh, God.
Yeah.
Like, what a rough game. And then game 3 rolls around, and there's a Zai Dragon Knight. A shout out to Will Pretend in the chat mentioning it, because that was weird. I think he went 0-8-3, I'm pretty sure. He had like no support in his lane. He just got to kind of run over. And game 3, 4, and 5 was all just Nigma looking like TI7 Liquid. It was pretty crazy. They balled up super early. They won all their lanes. I think in all 3 games, 3, 4, and 5, they had between a 4 to a 6K net worth lead at 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a giant lead that early in the game.
And all the games were pretty quick. Again, the last 3 games were all 25 minutes. I mean, it was Nigma just taking over. They get aggressive. Secret tries to hold. They fail. And Nigma just goes high ground, and the game is fucking over. It was impressive how well they recovered from 2 pretty one-sided games from Secret to open the series. That's what stood out to me the most. It was like a zero tilt kind of thing. All right, guys, game 3, let's step it up. They did, and then they just rode that momentum to a fucking win. It's impressive.
Yeah, what interested me is that those are basically just like lane wins. Like when you win a game so handily at 25, 26, and 26 minutes, they pretty much have to be lane wins, right? Mm-hmm. Like you can't, unless you literally just get first roach and end the game, which maybe you can kind of say about game 2, where like they were kind of just stomping and running through them with the razor. Sorry, not game 2, game 4, when they were stomping and running through them with the razor. That one was like a little bit closer, it felt like, but overall they just looked like that old style of Nigma that like knew exactly what items they wanted on each of their heroes, and then they just played as 5, and even if they lost a team fight, they just ran right back at you again because they understood that they have the ability now to go high ground, to take those buildings that are going to give them the victory. Mm-hmm. Yeah, again, it's just like these crazy leads so early in the game. And a lot of times I noticed the experience would get turned around later on in the game, which was interesting. Like there would be all these points where like, because they're balling up so much, you start to see the comeback factor come to play where the experience starts going back towards Secret, sometimes even going in their favor by like the 20-minute mark because Nigma are spending so much time just together. But all of that time, even if they're not gaining XP and they're not splitting up, they're still keeping the objective focus in mind and just working towards that like win condition game plan. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if they became soldiers again or what, and it was like true Kuro plans, but damn. Very impressive stuff for 3, 4, and 5 for sure.
How you feeling about Darkseer these days? I feel like he's been a recurring discussion point for us over the last couple podcasts. And this event, he was picked 11 times and did end with a positive win rate of about 54%. Thoughts on the Darkseer right now?
Love, hate. I don't like his lane matchups a lot of the time because he tends to just give a carry free farm. I didn't get to personally like watch super close a lot of the matches, but that's the big problem is like I know that when one of the games they had Darkseer versus Morphling, right? Mm-hmm. That was game 2. Oh no, it was Darkseer versus Jug. Maybe that's what it was, where he could just like keep lasting under the tower and it didn't matter. Yeah, that's where Secret like stomped the Darkseer on the side of Nigma. So
yeah, it was game 2.
Yeah, Darkseer still has like pretty big problems to me. Not a huge fan, but he still has like the best team fight in the game. When he is the right allies, right? Like if you can get a vacuum into blank is able to win pretty much any engagement no matter how far behind you are.
Yeah. The other thing that was kind of crazy about that series, the finals, looking at the drafts like from games 1 through 3, Nigma got Wisp in all 3 of the openers. 1, 2, and 3, they played Wisp. And Secret dominated the first 2 games. Then game 3, Nigma still said, Wisp isn't the problem. We know this hero. We're taking it again. Then they whooped Secret, and then after that, there was no more Wisp. It was just sort of an interesting, like, struck me as kind of classic puppy, like, we've got this figured out. And then Nigma stuck to their guns, and we're able to beat them with that hero after losing twice in a row with it. That's just an interesting, I don't know how to contextualize it. It's just, it stands out to how well Nigma know that hero, I guess.
That, and it kind of broke the first 3 bans for Secret as well. They had a lot of problems after that because when the series opened, they were banning the Bat Rider. So basically, Secret, if their first pick, they want Snapfire. That was their key goal. They wanted. If they don't get Snapfire, they'll take Rubik. And so that's what happened. So game 1, they have first pick. They ban out the Bat Rider, the Tiny, and the ET. So the Tiny and the ET are mostly targeted at GH. Of course, there is some leeway in terms of role swap. And then the Bat Rider is just like a suitable mid-hero, off-lane hero, potential support hero. So
like
understandable. You don't want the Bat Rider in the 2-3 because teams just go Bat Rider plus Nyx. We saw several times throughout the tournament. They'll just like take one of the better counters along with the hero. So they start winning these games, and as you said, game 3 happens, the IO wins the game. So now they say, okay, so what do? We have to ban out the IO, and then we have to ban out that Leshrac, because the Leshrac definitely won that game. That was all Miracle. Just like completely taking over. Nobody runs down a game like Leshrac does. He's got 4 lags, he stampedes, he's got hooves. He's very good at that. So I appreciate the ban there, but now some of these heroes like start to open up. Like they get a Slardar for themselves because they had first pick. So suddenly you've got a Slardar in a game, and you're like, oh, well, we can beat it with Troll, right? No, it's still the fish, man. Like, come on, dog. Slardar is so busted right now.
Yeah, dude.
Like,
he's insane. Oh, my mic did it again. Sorry, you might need to continue here.
Yeah, don't worry, I got it. You just let it figure itself out there. You silly technological issues. But after that, so now they're like a little bit broken down here. They still want to ban out the IO. They want to ban out the Leshrac. And then the final 5 game 5 bans, I think, really said a lot. Where Secret had first pick, so they felt forced to ban out the IO, the Chen, and the Oracle. So these 3 very annoying sustain save heroes that are like, basically Nigma was like winning these fights because you get baited in, and then something changes. So you think the fight's going good on your terms with your initiation, but then there's an IO, or there's a Chen heal, or there's an IO and an Oracle, or anything like that. So by removing all of those, you had game 5 where now there's no Chen, there's no Oracle, and there's no IO. So pretty big deal for Enigma. So they end up going for the Wyvern in the second phase. So now they have like still that like fight breaker and save in the Wyvern, but they couldn't get a secondary support for it. So that's why they had mind control on the Centaur, because now again they have a bad situation breaker with the Stampede, and it felt like they just wanted to say like, we just need a reset in all of our drafts, and that's not really something that you saw from Secret in a lot of these games.
No.
Are you alive now?
I think so. I think I'm back and I'm good. I'm starting to figure out the temporary fix, at least when it happens. So just keep me on my toes here. But yeah, it was a hell of a finals to watch. I mean, I really wasn't kidding. I said this is the dream. You go all 5 games. It's 2 of the top teams, and they put up an interesting series that it always gets deep when you get to game 5 of best of 5. That mini meta feels very real when you get to that last draft.
You know what is kind of crazy though? Think about the old majors. Like, we always hated the direct invites. I think a lot of people were mad about direct invites, right? They said it's not fair. No one knows when they're going to get invited to a major or to a tournament or TI. There has to be some sort of a system. We need something. We need qualifiers. And now we've gotten this system, and now you have a team like Nigma who's not participating in this whole phase of the DPC.
Yeah, I saw that tweet from Cyborg Matt talking about how just weird that feels to see a team like Nigma win this event against a team like Secret, who's clearly world class, top of the pack, and they're just absent. They're just gone. It feels weird though. At the same time, I hesitate to hyper analyze one-offs like this. Ultimately, I mean, they could have qualified, right? You just fell short in that one tournament, and they didn't fall short in this tournament. It happens sometimes.
But should one week qualifier dictate your entire like 3-month cycle?
In this case, yes.
Or I guess it's more like 2 months or whatever, but still.
But yeah, it's a long period that you're just kind of sitting around on your thumbs, hoping that there's more non-DPC events like this that you can focus on.
I guess it's just frustrating because it's like you want the regional diversity and you want to try and build up these other regions, but this was a little bit too painful. So I think that's hopefully why next year, we'll see if that improves things. Like you'll have more time.
Has it ever been this lopsided in favor of a region?
No.
Are we moving into unprecedented territory of just
we definitely are. Because Europe was already pretty high last year, and then it just got worse this year.
Yeah.
Like, AKA it got better, I should say.
Well, yeah, the skill level got better, but this problem we're discussing of, it's balancing the best teams in the world with also global representation. I mean, looking at this event from a WePlay perspective, it's nice that they invited Infamous. They didn't have to. This wasn't DPC. You're not obligated to bring South American teams. But they did. Those were probably pretty expensive flights for Infamous to bomb out.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I guess sure. There were definitely eras of Chinese dominance like 8 years ago, but I don't really count that time.
Yeah, I mean you're right. Yeah,
but yes,
TI1,
TI2
TI2 era was a very
back,
weird
sure.
time for Dota. It's so not 1-to-1 to today.
Yeah, but that is true. There was times in the past. Got to give them that. Not wrong.
Fair, yeah. But that I like that WePlay is still trying to represent the regions at least somewhat.
How did they do it? Yeah, someone said they qualified for that, right? They had like their own little qualification thing.
So they had it was
Dire America.
Yes, exactly. Dire America. Let's see, what was this?
They 3-1 JStorm.
Okay.
Cool.
So
right, that was last year.
Yeah, so it was North America and South America. You're right. That was June 2019. What the fuck?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of so was NIP's invite, right? That was really old.
Yeah, but Infamous.
Oh yeah, that was the Oliver lineup.
Yeah, it's not even close. So the old Infamous lineup was Oliver Black,
players?
Hesta Joe Rotten, Biver, and Pepita.
I didn't even realize that.
And the Infamous squad that played at this last event was Tomato, Robo Z, Sacred, Sladen, and Pepita. So Pepita is the only common link.
Dude, Pepita's a legend. I love that guy.
Still, that's just kind of peculiar. I mean, what?
Good thing there was no prize pool to have to worry about splitting with the previous members that qualified for it.
That's true.
I mean, did they get anything? I guess they probably got something for their placing. Let's see. They got 8K. All right, Black, hit them up. You qualify for that tournament. Get your cut of that.
So the only other team that we didn't talk about that's probably worth mentioning, Gambit. Of course, some drama surrounding them as of late. We talked about them on the last podcast. And at this event, they did the most classic Gambit run ever. They made it out of the groups into the bracket. They did okay, beating aggressive mode in the opening round of the playoffs, then got knocked down in the lower bracket and lost to one of the tier 1 teams in round 2 of the losers bracket, placing them 4th overall. So a decent showing, nothing too impressive. In my mind, just forever cementing them as a tier 1.5 team that is good and can beat these tier 2 teams pretty handily, but they still have not figured out the combination once they're up against Enigma, Secret kind of teams. They just get ripped apart.
Yeah, it's something that will come with more time, and obviously they just had their roster ripped apart, so you can't really be too hard on them.
Fair. But I feel like this is not like a recent thing for Gambit. This has been the recurring theme for this brand for like 6 months. I don't know, maybe
2
longer.
years? I don't know.
Maybe that was even a conservative estimate.
Feels like a pretty long time that it's been that way with Gambit. But
yeah.
Again, congratulations though to WePlay. I'm sure we'll see more of them. I'm guessing they didn't announce another event, which is kind of surprising. Where's the closeout with some big announcement? But I'm sure anytime soon we'll be hearing about another event from them, I would guess.
One would imagine. I have no idea what's up next. To wrap it up, I know we talked about like the IP stuff with the cybertruck, and you kind of mentioned they had the dressed up ninja and they had the dressed up, Dr. Disrespect. Do you think that would fly at a major? Like, is that too... I mean, it's funny, but is there a point where that gets a little too personal? You know what I mean?
I
Like,
would say at a major, it's probably just it's not really what you're
aren't
looking
we
for.
sort of mocking Dr. Disrespect with this version of him where the casters are just sort of talking over him and stuff? Like, it doesn't bother me, but
No, it doesn't bother me. I think it's just like majors are supposed to be a different kind of tournament. They can still be fun and lighthearted, but I don't think they should be like, I don't know.
yeah.
I wouldn't be trying to invoke or jump at someone with like a bunch of followers or something for like a tournament for like a major. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just do your own thing, make good content. It's cool.
I think the Tesla truck was 10 out of 10. Very creative, great execution. Doing a copy of Dr. Disrespect is maybe it's a little lowbrow, I guess. It
No,
doesn't
I
seem
don't
like
care.
very creative.
I don't even think those two are very different. I would just say more that like a major should be mostly like a celebration of Dota and stuff, and
That's
more that direction than, you know, funny gags and stuff. I like the funny gags. I just think a major it's just like a little bit different.
No, that's totally fair. It's it's like TI. There's a different level of seriousness because we know it's the flagship for people that don't watch Dota to watch Dota, so you don't want it to just be a bunch of lowbrow Dota jokes.
Yeah, and I think that if they did do a major, that's what they would do. I think they would probably hopefully still do a theme. I like the themes personally. I don't think there's anything wrong with having a themed major.
No,
Maybe they wouldn't. Maybe it would be super boxy and classic suits and stuff, but I doubt it for WePlay.
Yeah, I don't think I have an issue with themes. It depends on what the theme is. I think you could definitely
Probably shouldn't be Candyland.
Right, it's a spectrum still, right? Like I still do not want a pirate themed major. I hope nobody does
what?
that. No,
why have we never done this before?
I think I workshopped it with Slacks, and then I heard him start talking in his pirate voice, and I got annoyed in about 15 minutes, let alone a 5-day broadcast of everyone just, I mean, it gets pretty lowbrow pretty quick.
Yeah.
Vast ye matey. You run out of lingo in about 10 minutes.
Do you know what a pirate's favorite letter is?
Arr.
Nar. It's for my first love be the sea. Got him.
All right, maybe you are the creative lead we need for this pirate-themed tournament, my friend.
Yeah, I'm always ready.
I think it only works if we get a sponsorship from that pirate game.
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember what it's called.
I don't remember either.
Atlas? No.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, man. Dude, that game just flopped.
There were two. There was that pirate RPG, but then there's that other one where you go on the boats and Sea of Thieves. That's it. That's what I was thinking.
That game. I think that game's still chugging. It's kind of where you'd expect it. I was thinking the Atlas one that you were talking about. Isn't that the one that was going to be the ultimate pirate adventure?
Yeah.
Still in early access?
That was the one that was like the classic gamer debate where the trailer looks really hype and the gameplay looks sick, but it's all doctored and fake. When you actually play the game, it's just bug riddled. And that was the one where somebody uncovered that it was just an engine from another game, and if you hit some sequence of buttons, you could get the menu screen from the old game to pop up and then do a bunch of kooky shit. It was a really strange public
It was
release.
the Ark devs. That's what it was, right? I'm pretty sure. The guys who made Ark?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Sounds familiar.
Damn, I just want one of those games, though. Hasn't everyone always just wanted the pirate game?
I mean, fucking yeah, dude. Pirate lore is one of the coolest, just swashbuckling and looting and pillaging. I don't know. The Pirates of the Caribbean movies are stupid, but they're sort of infectious because it's pirates. You know they're dumb, but you still want to see some swashbuckling.
You know, I actually needed a tangent for gaming, for random games, because I don't know about you, but to me, I just realized that there's probably a lot of our viewers that, or at least people that like watch Dota and like people I'm friends with now that maybe never rented games. Do you think that's crazy?
Rented games, like Blockbuster style?
Yeah, like going down to your local game store to like rent games. Like I'm sure that's probably obviously a lot of you listening are probably of the older folks, so maybe you did, but like renting games is just dead, right?
Yeah.
Like you used to have to rent systems if you wanted to play like certain games and stuff.
Yep.
But I was just thinking, like, did you ever have those games that you rented like way too many times? Like to the point where it didn't even make sense? Like, why did my parents let me rent the same game like 6 times when they could have just bought it for like, $10 more?
I think I actually had that with Super Mario 64 because for whatever reason, I got an N64 kind of late. My first game was Perfect Dark. And my roommate, Carlo, had Super Mario 64 and he'd already beat it. So I had this jealousy of just like, I want to beat this game too. So I kept getting it, but then you have to start over every time you rent it and save it to the cartridge because I didn't have a memory card.
Yeah, exactly. If you didn't have the memory card, you were screwed. Well, I had this game that I used to rent, and I played it so many times, and it was called Goemon Mystical Ninja for Nintendo 64. And it was like one of the first games that I remember renting like a lot.
Hmm.
I wonder what year it came out in. Hold on, let me see. Goemon 64. This released in 98, 96, 98. So 98 in North America. So I would have been about 7. And this game, I've actually been playing it the past couple of days.
Really?
And oh my god, it is so bad. I can't believe I used to play this game as a kid. The translations are terrible. Like, they're so bad. I can't believe how much I loved this game as a kid. But going through it, I was like reading the dialogue and just laughing and remembering all these cutscenes. And I had a really great nostalgia, guys. So
That's always a good feeling.
yeah, it is. It's great.
One of my most memorable N64 game was that one called Silicon Valley. It was one of the strangest fucking concepts for a game where you played a microchip in this weird dystopian future, and you had to kill animals on the planet. Then the microchip would take over the animals. Then you played the game as all these different animals that could do different things. You could be like the gorilla that would swing on vines.
What the?
Or you could be like the dog that could sneak in places. And I don't remember what the plot of the game was, but you had to do various puzzles and shit to get around. But if your animal died, you could leave it, and your little microchip would take damage for existing in the world because it needed a body to control or whatever.
Is this Space Station Silicon Valley?
Correct.
Is that what
That's
it's called?
Space Station Silicon Valley.
I think I watched Moo play this on stream in between Dota queues when one of the matchmaking patches was really bad.
I still think it's one of the most original concepts for a game that I've ever played from that era. You know, when you're kind of limited on how much shit you can do. It was, I don't know. I was kind of just blown away by that the first time. And it wasn't that popular. One of my friends had it, and he gave it to me. He had like 100 N64 games. He was a rich kid. And I started playing it. He was like, oh, that game fucking sucks. I don't care. You can just have it if you want. And I took it home, and I thought it was cool as hell.
I'd be curious if you played it now to see how good it is. Because, like, games have just changed so much. Like, at the time, like, this game, the Goemon game even would have been kind of cool. But, like, I went back and played it now. Literally, there's just these giant open areas that you just walk through, and these monsters just, like, float up next to you. You, like, jump and punch them. Like, when I was 7 or 8, that was probably the craziest thing about 3D. The camera's moving. My God. Like, it's hard to believe that, like, now we have Half-Life Alyx coming out soon or whatever. It's gonna be like VR and
yeah,
it's
Future's
I don't know.
here, man.
It's exciting. I can imagine what games are gonna be like in like another 20 years.
Yeah, seriously. Like, just wait until somebody actually invents a real replacement to the QWERTY keyboard. They're trying real hard. They've got those gloves and the keyboards that look like a pyramid on both sides, and nobody's gotten it quite yet. But somebody will figure out an input device that is just a better version of this shitty flat keyboard we're using. And that's going to be the game changer, dude.
Fair point. Fair point.
That's when your grandkids are going to be like, Grandpa Trent still uses the clicky keyboard.
All the nursing homes will just be filled with them. It'll be great.
Shitty tattoos and analog keyboards, dude. That's going to be the hallmark of our generation.
I need to hear your investigative journalism.
All right,
I long to know how this went down.
So, for those of you that don't know what we're about to break into, yesterday I posted my most recent blog, and let me just go ahead and drop a link in Twitch chat to make sure everyone's caught up here. And this one was titled, How Lootbet is... Actually, what is the exact title? How Lootbet is Using Pornhub to Promote Betting on Dota 2. So this came about completely organically. We mentioned it in the last podcast. Our buddy Scantzor posted that tweet at Slack saying, hey, are you aware that this video exists? And of course, we had no idea. And that prompted me to DM Scant to get a link for some investigative journalism. I turn on the video, and as I explained in the very beginning of the blog, I noticed pretty early on into the video, like, they're not having sex. They're talking about something. And they're watching Dota. And they're pointing at the screen, and I noticed there's a Lootbet logo there. I go, well, that's kind of weird. Lootbet didn't sponsor Midas Mode. What's that doing there? They don't start banging until like 25% of the way into the video. So, of course, they're speaking Russian. And me, the critical viewer that I am, went, well, I got to get to the bottom of this. So I
Yes.
remember our audio engineer that we hired at Midas Mode, who lives in Colorado now, Spice Dota, a real lad. He's bilingual. He speaks
He
Russian.
is a real lad. He's a good
So
guy.
I shoot him a DM. I go, hey, I want to send you a really inappropriate video, and I need you to translate it. And he said, yeah, sure, no problem. So I sent him the link. Said, by the way, that's a link to Pornhub. And he said, oh, let me put down my 4-year-old. So he does. And he watches it and sends back the timestamps of everything they're saying. And the whole intro is basically talking about not the numbers, but discussing which team they should bet on, OG or Na'Vi. And in the video, Freya's wearing a Na'Vi jacket with the very clear branding, you know, the black with the bright yellow and stuff. And of course, she suggests maybe you should bet on Na'Vi. And, you know, her male companion says something like, oh, Na'Vi won the first game. Maybe you're right. I think it's really worth it to bet on Na'Vi for game 2. And then it cuts to adult content. So I'm
adult content.
watching the adult content as one would, and I
Get to the
noticed
bottom of this,
that
of course.
about halfway through the adult content, the monitor changes. So it cuts, and she has her head up in a way that you can't see what's on the screen. Then she puts her head down, and the spot on the monitor where it was just a Lootbet logo and the Midas Mode stream has now changed.
You did a great job describing this. I just want to say.
It's changed to €200 deposit, 2x your initial deposit or whatever, in pretty bold text in the background. And that stays there for another minute or so until the video ends.
That's it, eh? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm watching this just like, okay, there is no way this is some sort of organic, like, oh, we just happened to be placing bets and then we decided to make a porn video. This has got to be a paid ad. I don't see any disclosures. I don't see anything indicating that it is. So I try to get to the bottom of it. I shoot Lootbet a message. I find Freya Steuin, the star female actress of this piece, who's very popular on Pornhub, as we talked about. She responds to me on Twitter. She follows me within 5 minutes, responds to my DM, and is very nice and pleasant, and basically says, hey, oh, wow, I can't believe you saw my video. Yeah, Lootbet contacted me. They paid me to make this video, and that's great, smiley face. And I sent back, okay, well, some other betting sponsors I've worked with have been concerned about, like, you know, how they market their product, and you know, pornography is definitely taboo in some areas. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts surrounding this. And she just said, no, this is a creative strategy for brands, and more companies in Russia are using this strategy to, quote, get their products out there. I said,
I
oh.
can't believe you literally slipped into the DMs.
I said, okay, reasonable. Still haven't heard back from Lootbet.
Oh, shucks.
But, you know, I appreciate that she was so forward about it. So I put the blog together.
She's a very open person, you know.
Yeah.
She doesn't really conceal a lot.
So I put the
type.
blog together, and the kind of point at the end is just that this type of marketing is pretty deceptive. And the reason that most other betting sponsors that are, you know, more reputable or licensed in areas outside of Curacao, you know, where they actually have to follow real regulations, the big problem here is implying success, whether financially, socially, that women are more likely to see you as attractive because of gambling. And this ad is very clearly targeted at males on a porn site that's pretty male-driven, and an esports game that's pretty male-driven. And I think when you watch it, it's designed to reinforce that implication of betting is attractive. She's banging him because he's placing bets on Dota, and that somehow makes you appear more manly. Now, I realize that sounds ridiculous to everybody listening right now. And
right,
probably,
but it's the classic, like, you know, subliminal. I mean, that's why commercials happen. You know,
Yeah.
A commercial happens with McDonald's. You don't run to McDonald's and buy the burger. It's
Right.
so that, you know, the next time you're at some place, maybe you get the McDonald's instead of the Burger King, yada, yada, yada. Maybe you go to Lootbet instead of Betway because yada, yada, yada.
Right. And I think that kind of, someone also brought up a good point of, you know, I wonder if people that are going to Pornhub for a purpose, right? They're not going there to look at betting ads. They're going to look at porn videos.
You don't think?
Are they?
They're not looking up some educational videos on their science fair project?
Well, like, are people that are in that position in a state of mind that also makes them more receptive to that kind of subliminal messaging? You know, and I don't know, but I thought that was sort of an interesting thought of, like,
I wonder if it's better or worse. Maybe they're
Right.
too distracted.
You know, just the ethics around porn advertising, and product placement in porn has been increasing in popularity over the last, like, 5 or 6 years like crazy. I mean, just like YouTube, right? That free video content product placement is really how you monetize it. So
Right.
it's really no different. It's more that it has to do with gambling and the fact that they seem to go out of their way to not disclose it. A lot of her other videos have the tag Dota 2. If you search Freya Stein Dota 2, there's a fuckload of videos on Pornhub where you can hear Dota commentary in the background while she's banging somebody. But this one video that is completely focused on Dota 2 does not have a Dota 2 tag. If you search Freya Stein Dota 2, it shows up on the 4th page of search results. She's only got like 80 videos on Pornhub, you know? So to me, it seems like there was an intentional, like, hey, we want this to appear organic so that people don't think it's an ad. And that's a little bit fucked up. I mean, a lot of jurisdictions are trying to pass regulations to prevent that shit from happening, where influencers are required to disclose financial arrangements with brands before they post that kind of shit. And I think, to me, that is the ultimate deception that really pushes it to, this isn't cool, guys. You know, if you want to advertise, but don't lie about advertising implicitly. They didn't, you know.
Lie of omission.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe I'm being hypersensitive. Maybe not. I felt like I needed to take a stand to conclude the article, you know, and the final closing is just like, you know, I hope eventually that regulation catches up with Lootbet and this kind of content doesn't really exist, but it's all wishful thinking. It's going to continue to exist as long as there's a market for it.
I mean, it's hard to judge. It's like, at the same time, and, you know, theoretically, everyone there is adults, right? You know, theoretically. Of course, they're not.
I mean, that is the one thing. You can't claim they're marketing to minors in this one. That is their one real savior here. This is purely adult marketing, which I can respect.
I mean, you gotta like that at least, right? You can appreciate that. They're not targeting the youngins. Isn't that what I always see people complaining about when it comes to betting sponsors in Dota? They think of the children.
Yep. So yeah, that aspect they're clear. Cannot fault them at all. I'm curious about your take though. What do you think about this whole conundrum? Where's this on your ethics scale?
On my, it's like middle of the pack. It's like maybe slightly below ethical, but you know, I think I don't have any problem with gambling sites existing. I agree that gambling creates problems and ruins families and destroys people's lives, but at the same time, I do think that gambling shouldn't just be outlawed forever for everything, right? I'm relatively fine with gambling, especially when they try and keep things, you know, more, as you said, like regulatory. I don't think like putting a porn ad is that bad to me because it's not targeting the most vulnerable of society. Maybe it's targeting people who are vulnerable in terms of like their state of mind, as you said, because of what they're doing. But I think most ads should be up front. So that's the thing that dips me behind, or that dips me down. It's just like ads should just be ads. You should say, hey, this is an ad. Well, I'm advertising for this thing. Yeah. I think if you look at this video critically, it's probably pretty fucking clear that it's an ad when there's giant, you know, 2x your bet. Right?
Yeah.
You know, but of course, some people might just be not thinking about that while they're watching a porn video, which is also pretty understandable. Right. So I don't think it's a big deal. I'm not going to be like, look, listen here, Lootbet, I refuse to work with you on this tournament because of this one video you did that time. It's not that big of a deal to me.
I would probably err on the other side of it, where to me this like opened my eyes a little bit to the spectrum of gambling regulation, and that, you know, it's not that I hate Lootbet, but I hate that the esports betting partners that are playing more by the rules and trying to engage in more ethical marketing implicitly get punished by, you know, these folks not playing by the rules. I mean, that video has 1.6 million views. That's a shitload of reach, you know? Man. That's a big marketing opportunity. It's probably genius from Lootbet.
I wonder how much they paid her.
Oh, me too.
Dude, you might as well ask.
Hey, Freya.
It's not like you're ever gonna need this contact again. You might as well burn the bridge or get us some sweet deeds.
Dude, she liked the tweet. I don't even think she gives a shit. I think this is free promotion for her. I was pretty complimentary of her. At the end of the blog, I say I don't really fault Freya for taking the money. In fact, I admire that she's found a creative way to market her niche content. I think I
believe you called her attractive at one point in the blog too. I noticed.
I did.
Yeah, you're trying.
I called her a digital creative that combines hardcore pornography with Dota 2 content. That's a pretty nice way to say it. So no, I mean, I'm call me a fan. I've got no issues with Freya whatsoever. But a couple of folks in private Discords pointed out that like there's a degree of hypocrisy in what I wrote, to the degree that all advertising of gambling is kind of unethical. This idea that, hey, betting can exist and that's fine. If people want to do it, let them do it. But even if it's tasteful, the idea of advertising betting to get people into it that aren't otherwise already, interested in that concept is sort of unethical. And I'm just sort of splitting hairs on a spectrum.
Why is
of
that
ethics.
unethical? I don't think that's unethical.
Because I think some people see gambling as just a purely destructive behavior. It's like something that some people can do in moderation, but most people struggle with the addictive nature of it, and that overall it's a net negative on
I got
society.
a newsflash for you guys. If you're playing Dota, you're also struggling with an addiction. So, saying, I don't think we should be throwing stones here.
Yeah.
If you want to call advertising gambling unethical, advertising video games and Dota is just as unethical.
Yeah. Well, so somebody else said, how is this different from a logo on a jersey? The Mr. Cat logo on the VP jersey. And my argument was that I think logos on jerseys are a pretty clear hashtag ad endorsement. Like that's almost what I would call, quote, common knowledge at this point, because sports are so prolific and people understand, the logos on the NASCAR were paid for so that they could buy the NASCAR. They know that it's a sponsorship by nature of that public arrangement. Right. This is not that. This is what I would say intentionally deceptive. So I do think I
agree that it's not like, I wouldn't say I approve of this ad, but I wouldn't, go out of my way to chastise and shut down Lootbet. I would point it out. I wouldn't lie. I wouldn't be like, oh, I don't think Lootbet has ever done anything sketchy. Like, yeah, it's a little sketchy, but
if I could pick, I would rather work with the betting partners that are regulated in other jurisdictions that take this shit more seriously and are super serious about not implying success and not trying to manipulate people into betting. Like we've taken a lot of money from betting sponsors, but I think we've always been pretty upfront about it and have paid attention to all those regulations and have followed the rules pretty closely in terms of stuff we can't joke about, things we can't say. We don't take addiction to gambling lightly. It's the reality of our industry that we kind of need that money for some of our events to run. But I do think there's a difference in terms of the way we disclose, and we try not to cross that line. We're probably not perfect, but we make an effort. And I hope that is
I would
noticed.
not do a similar ad for Lootbet. I would not not I wasn't meaning the porn one. Obviously, you guys wouldn't be very interested in that either way. But I wouldn't do a similar background ad. You know how Red Bull likes to sponsor events but not be the sponsor, where it's like there's a Red Bull fridge in the background, but we never talk about Red Bull, but they paid for that to be there.
Yeah.
I would not do that sort of a advertisement for any sort of gambling site, because I agree that's very different. That's not product placement. That's kind of that whole promotion thing and everything that you were discussing. It gonna make you better, blah blah blah. So
it's just a little too close, and of course the actors never say that, but it's just a little. So
I just want to say congratulations on your investigative work. Very impressed.
Thank you. It was fun to piece together, and it was weird that it happened so organically. Like I wasn't looking for a story. I just watched the video and started noticing this is weird. I got to get to the bottom of this. And the more I dug, the more interesting it got. And one other interesting piece about this, we've created a lot of content. This is by far the most clicked on piece I've ever done, with probably the least social media engagement ever. Like the Facebook post has 5 likes. I'm looking at the website traffic. A shitload of people are clicking on that. Betting and porn in the title of an article.
Ad, dog, or that link. They're like, where's the link?
They can't resist, dude. But nobody wants to admit that they looked at it. They're like, well, I don't want to like that on Twitter. I don't want a tweet tagging Pornhub to show up in my liked tweets. But you better believe people are reading that shit. They be clicking, dog. They want to know. So I'm glad I wrote it up, though. Really, part of it was, we had that clip from last week, but I just wanted to kind of immortalize it and tell the story for people that, don't listen to the podcast. And it's also just a different medium. There are people that read and don't listen and vice versa. So,
wow.
But yeah, it was very satisfying. I'll tell you what, though. I was nervous as fuck writing that tweet. I had that thing done. I was like, do I tag Lootbet? I think I have to. I'm calling him out anyway. There's no reason not to tag him. But I had that thing written. I stared at it for 20 minutes before pressing enter. Just like, okay, are we sure we want to do this? Are we? Okay. It was just, those call out kind of articles are they're stressful, dude.
Did they like and retweet or no?
No, I haven't heard from Lootbet. I think they're just doing the ignore strategy.
Probably the right call. Just keep doing their thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think if Freya hadn't confirmed that it was paid for, I would have been 10 times more nervous posting it. It just kind of feels like a hearsay wannabe hit piece. But the fact that she replied made me kind of feel like, well, I've got something here. This alone is kind of worth sharing with people that, I mean, strange.
Yo, Tanya's their spokesperson?
Who?
Tanya. Remember? She did that one event with Slacks and she's always there for Star Ladder stuff.
Oh.
Look at this. Look at that header photo. Does that link for you guys? And it's just Tanya. It's just her with a birthday hat.
Tanya.
It's Tanya. And the like their first tweet today is like, it's her with 10% cash back. Damn, she's getting fat stacks too.
Wow. Well, get the money while you can. I mean, I bet they got huge
girl.
budget, dude.
That's hilarious.
Oh man, So yeah.
Oh wow, they have a lot of ads with her in it. All right, she's like their spokeswoman, I guess.
Yeah, she must be the face of their brand or something. I mean, more power to you, dude. Get that cash. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. I appreciate everyone's interest. I'm gonna link the tweet one more time. I certainly appreciate any sharing on that, so more folks can see the good word. And it makes me happy that Freya liked the tweet, dude. I was a little nervous about that. I didn't want her to feel like it was some sort of a hit piece, like I was out to get her. She was just sort of part of the equation by nature of her being in the video, but I really didn't want that to be the focus of it.
I'm just reading now. I like this one guy's reply. So far, I haven't found any other examples. You keep up that research, my good man.
Yeah, some of the comments were pretty fucking good.
Oh, it's pretty good. Wow.
The best part was writing it next to my girlfriend and her seeing all of the research tabs I had open. I pretty quickly explained what was going on. She was on the pulse of, unethical gambling. She's like, you need to tell this story. You need to get it out there. So she was very supportive. I appreciate.
Wow, you're so brave.
I appreciate her being able to kind of look the other way as I'm marking down timestamps of blowjob at Dota 2 tournament. Oh god,
what a hero. It's just saving the world, dog.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Was there any other news that popped out in the Dota realm? Has it just been all WePlay? I thought I wrote down some notes, but I think that covered most of everything I had.
No, that's kind of it right now. Right now, ongoing, there's not really any events happening. A lot of really small tournaments, kind of like classic China events, all happening right now. The wider world of esports, I saw Overwatch is having homestand issues because of coronavirus. They're canceling a bunch of their events.
Did you see the headlines?
That's kind of unfortunate.
Now, coronavirus is really bad in Korea. Have you seen the stuff about that cult that's been spreading it? It's super fucked up.
No, I haven't heard about that one.
There's sort of people are calling it a cult. I don't know if it's a cult or a religion, but there's this group in Daegu, I think is the name of the city. But this lady was infected, and she went to a church session with like 200 people there, and supposedly she didn't go to the hospital or anything, and they're like really hardcore religious. It's sort of like, I got Christian Scientist vibes, just like, oh, if you pray, then you'll be fine kind of thing. So she didn't go to the doctor or do anything, and she spread it. There's like 600 deaths now in Korea or something. Dude, Korea is in serious trouble with coronavirus. And Korea is one of the few countries that didn't cancel flights from China because they're huge trade partners and so close geographically. So it's a public health disaster, dude. So for Dota, it's not as big of a deal, but for these other esports that have a huge Korean dominance, influence, participation, Overwatch, League, keep an eye out.
600 infected, not dead.
Oh, infected. I'm sorry.
6 people have died. Just had to make sure.
All right, big misspeak, my bad. But still, 600 infections is a lot. It's spiraling out of control. It's not contained, which is the bad part. So, yeah, good catch there, bud. Thanks for calling.
I just got to fact check you every once in a while.
But no, dude, the coronavirus shit is scary, and it's still not getting any better. So I think the esports implications are just, unfortunately, going to keep getting worse.
Yeah. League canceling events, as you said. And then, of course, we did miss the Envy issues. So, apparently, Skyder is now... So, the Fighting Pandas roster that will be at the minor is now Skyder, Bryle, Kezu, Owie, and Moomeander, because Envy and Snake King are out. That's pretty crazy. I don't know what that means, because I've heard that the new roster is like Brax. Someone leaked it, right? It was like... Does anyone have it written down? I can't even remember.
But I kind of thought this was like Envy's team. It was weird to me that Envy was leaving. To me, it's sort of like Puppy leaving Secret. That's a shitty analogy because Secret's so much more established. But I was just surprised that this team will live on without him in another form. So do we know what Envy's doing now?
All they've said is he's gotten an offer from a team for money. That's all anyone said. So yes, the big assumption is that it's Cloud9 again because they didn't get their tournament.
Okay.
Yeah. They didn't get their qualification to the minor with their C squad. So
they do love Eternal Envy. He has been on Cloud9 twice in his career.
Yeah, and then the leak was supposedly Brax, BSJ, IX Mike, EE, Snake King, but I don't think that's true. Because that seems very unlikely. I can't see Brax leaving Business Associates when they're qualified for a minor and like one of the better teams there. Seems a little bit silly.
Yes, I was just going to say, we can't forget that Business Associates keep the DPC points that J-Storm had. So that team is,
yeah.
I mean, they would really have to think they have zero chance to implode that whole roster.
Was it Brax that put that? That was Brax who leaked that roster? Oh.
Okay, there you go. Brax memes.
That's pretty funny.
I was going to say, if that's true, I need to have a conversation with Brax about DPC and math. Like, y'all.
Brax, we got to talk.
Brax, I want to see you in Sweden, my man. Come on now.
Either way, to reiterate, the only solid info is that Skyder and Kezu are in, Snaking and Envy are out. So that means that I've lost a Canadian on my Canadian squad. I'm down to 3 Canadians in Bryle, Owie, and Moon Neander.
Damn. Need it.
Come on, Envy. Dude. Keep the dream alive. The 5-man Canada squad.
All right. So what's next, dude? What are we going to talk about next week? We still have this lag time until the next big event starts, right?
The next minor is the 5th. 5th to the 8th, and then the major's the week after, starting on the 15th. So it's I don't think there's going to be anything going on, to be honest with you.
This is our dead
we're going to have to make some fun content for next week. We'll have to be creative.
Yeah, get our final February podcast in. Thank God it's a leap year, so we get that extra day.
That's pretty hype.
Yeah.
Do I have to talk about the Leafs, guys? Come on.
Oh, yeah. I did want to bring that up. What the fuck was that?
Okay. All right. For all of you who are not, this is a very interesting story, so I will tell it. So in the life of hockey, there is something known as the emergency goalie. And what that means is that every home team has to have an emergency goalie ready in the incredibly unlikely situation that a opposing team cannot field enough goalies to play. So you might be thinking, why don't they just make a defenseman play? Well, that's just not how it works. It's not how it works, blah, blah, blah. So Toronto, their emergency goalie, had to play because Carolina's backup got injured. They had no more goalies. So he had to come into the game, and the goalie guy was the Zamboni driver for their farm team, the Toronto Marlies, who are a great team as well, by the way. But, he actually stands in Leaf practices quite often. He takes shots, like let's say one of the goalies isn't in that day or they just need another body in the nets for warm-ups and everything. He's there. He's your guy. So he actually knows the Toronto players pretty well. So he comes in, has to play for Carolina. You see him skating on the ice. They're all laughing on Carolina. They're hitting his pads. And the guy plays really well. He let in 2 goals. I think he let in 2 goals on 10 shots, which, I mean, let's be honest, for a 42-year-old, I think he was, Zamboni driver, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And Carolina won the game. Toronto couldn't do it. They were already down pretty far. But embarrassing.
I'm curious, though, to get your take on the hit that took out the goalie to bring him into the game.
Oh, come on. That wasn't a dirty hit. He was just running for the puck, dude. That was a full... All right, any goalie leaving their net that far...
Aren't you not allowed to clobber goalies like that, though?
Did you see how the collision happened? They were both, like, fully leaned over. I mean, that's on the goalie, dude. He way overestimated his own speed or underestimated the speed.
But I thought hockey had more. Aren't there more protections for, like, you can't hit goalies the same way you hit other players? Is that not true?
Dude, did you see how far out he was? He was like at the circle.
Well, so, does that change it? Like, what, do you have special rules in the crease compared to if you're out in the middle of the ice?
Well, you do, but he still... I mean, that was definitely going for the puck. I don't care what team that is. He didn't plow into him. Did you guys even watch it?
It looked like a shoulder to the face to me.
Oh, my God. You guys watching it in slow-mo? You guys ever
yeah.
skated in your life? Do you know how skates work? Do you know why hockey is a good sport? Because momentum, baby.
I
You
mean,
can't just like stop on a dime.
I would agree that the goalie definitely contributed to the YOLO. Like, he was cruising and he was all in on that shit. And he definitely seemed to think that the 73, whatever his name is on the Leafs, was not gonna go full speed either. So I agree on that aspect, but it looked a little rough, dude. I don't know.
Are you serious?
The puck was not at
All
the
right,
goalie's
go
face.
watch any other hockey game and tell me when a goalie comes that far out, dog. He fucked up.
Well, but does that matter? I mean, if he comes out, does that mean you're allowed to throw your shoulder into his face and knock his helmet off?
He didn't throw a shoulder in. He dove for the puck. Are you serious?
You got a link? Throw it in Twitch chat. Let's do a live rewatch here.
Oh, I don't have a link.
I had a link yesterday, but I didn't save it. Now everyone's really curious. Twitch chat's actually pretty split. Some people are saying, yeah, you still don't plow him, and some people are saying, fuck the goalie, he left his circle. So I actually don't know what the rule is on this. But
I would say that he went way far out. Here we go.
It looked fairly egregious to me. I'm not going to lie. When I saw that hit, I was kind of like, oh, shit, he's not getting up. Like, it was a...
All right, here's your link.
That was pretty...
So he's literally at the top of the circle. I can't believe you guys have a problem with this. Look,
I just didn't realize that mattered.
Look, what?
Like the goalie coming out
came
far?
Out to center ice. Do you think that he should just be allowed to grab the puck and do whatever the fuck he wants?
Well, I'm sort of asking. I don't. I like I said, I thought goalies were a protected class in hockey where you can't just body check them like you can other players, no matter where they are. Like if a goalie comes out to the side to pick up the puck where it flies around behind the net,
yeah, you can play him.
You can just hit him like a normal player if he's out like that.
Okay, if you try and like knock him over, you're gonna get yelled at. But like they can't really move, so you could just walk up to him and take the puck from him and go away. Like he's not gonna be able to do anything. So what's happening here? This is skates, guys. If you've never skated, he can't stop. He's playing the puck. That goalie is being an idiot. There is no way you should be that far out. He completely underestimated his own speed.
He's flying.
What?
They're flying face first and last second.
Look at the skater's head.
Yeah.
Where's he looking? Does he ever look left? You know why he's not looking left? Because he sees the defender on his left. He has him beat. He's watching the guy on his right who's coming up the boards, on Spezza, and seeing who's going to be taking the puck. He doesn't even see the fucking goalie. You know why he doesn't see the goalie? Because some moron, like, why would a goalie ever be this far out? There's no way.
He definitely saw him. I don't buy that argument.
He sees him, but he doesn't think like this is on him. I don't know how else to explain this, but you're never going to see a goalie out like this again.
I mean, I agree with that. I think it takes two to tango. I agree the goalie contributed and went fucking crazy YOLO. But I think old Cliffy here turned that shoulder when he realized there was a collision and railed
All he did
him.
was raise his own shoulder towards himself, which is a very natural defense when someone is coming up to you like that. He didn't hit him. He didn't elbow out.
Yeah, you don't need an elbow if you got a shoulder. I don't know.
Do you seriously see this as being dirty? I actually can't understand that.
I don't know.
It's like not even close.
I feel like it's under the guise of just like, well, I'm full speed. If you come full speed at me, that's your fault. And it's like, well, yeah.
Well, yeah, that's exactly right. What do you think happens if you're on a ski hill and a guy is skiing down? Do you just like jump in front of him? It's like, oh yeah, well, it's the skier's fault.
Why did the goalie come out like that though? How is that
the dumbass? He thought he could beat him. That's why.
Collision aside, is that the play?
No, that's not the play. He thought he could prevent a breakaway because he saw a 2-on-1 or possibly 2-on-none. Because if he gets that puck right there, Spezza was going to cut back towards the middle. He drops it back to him, and now suddenly you have two guys on each side of the ice and potentially no defender. So he sees the situation developing and says, well, I'm basically going to go dive out there for a poke check like I'm playing NHL 94, and he got clocked in the skull because of it.
Was the goalie injured, like, significantly, or was it just a...
he was taken out of the game. I don't know what the final part of his injury was.
So anytime the helmet comes off, that's always those where I'm just like, oof, ice is hard, dude.
If the goalie's a good puck-playing goalie, this is the play. Yeah, maybe if he's a good skater, but he's clearly not a good skater because Clifford's not that fast, guys. Let's be real. This isn't like the fastest guy in the NHL.
You know, thinking about this though, I think I might have confused the way teams defend their goalies with an actual rule that the goalies are a protected class.
Yes, that would be correct because he's gonna get fucked up now after that hit.
Right, like the players are always like, "You touch my goalie, I'm gonna fuck you up." But that's just like hockey tough guy stuff. That's not like written in the rules. So
Yeah,
that makes a little bit more sense. That now that I'm kind of seeing,
Broder would have gone for it. Yeah, he definitely would have. But either way, yeah, I don't really fault Clifford on this, guys. He's racing for the puck. This is such a normal hockey play. It's not even funny. Like, this is just what you do. And the goalie coming out is not normal.
This is just what you do. I mean, I agree that. When I saw this clip, I was like, what? How did this happen? Because when you don't see the setup either, you're just sort of like, the fuck is going on here?
Either way, you got your sweet, sweet revenge on the Leafs haters out there because then they lost to their own employee. So there you go.
Oh, God, that's a terrible analogy. That goalie is the pedestrian in dash cam videos that walk into the road at night with dark clothes on. Oh,
I mean, basically.
That is kind of what that video
You know what it is? It
like.
reminds me of like one time I was out with my friend and we were going to get pizza at like 2 a.m. because we were all drunk college students. And we're going to go into a crosswalk, right? And he walks up and he just all in stride, he hits the button for the crosswalk and just keeps walking. And this Jeep slams on the brakes like, and stops like, 2 feet from my buddy. And then my buddy starts freaking out. He's like, what the fuck, man? I'm in a crosswalk. It's like, dog, you just like ran into the street basically just because you hit some dumbass button above you. Does that mean the car's going to magically stop?
I wish that's how it worked. That's, God. Well, so we are going to wrap this up, but shout out to Iron Milos. What is Trent's take on hockey or fighting during hockey? And I will never forget the last Dota Pit Minor. Trent and I actually got into an argument about this in the green room during one of the matches. We were yelling at each other for it was 45 minutes of.
It was an hour and a half.
It was an hour and a half of. It was
an hour and a half.
Heated, and we've talked to each other enough that we can get intense and then not get mad, but everyone else in the room was making that face just like, I think these guys are about to have a fight right now. Lacoste actually got up and left. It was just I can't take any more of this. And I don't even know, did we even come to terms? I think at the end we were both just kind of like, we agree 95%, but we're really mad about this last 5. And then the game ended and we just kind of never talked about it again.
That sounds about right. Well, maybe that's all we'll talk about next episode.
Maybe that's a good teaser for next week. We'll pepper in a little bit of a hockey debate. So get your notes prepared, Twitch chat. Fighting in hockey, yay or nay? Why and should it exist?
Yeah,
right.
No promises.
But I think we're good here. This was a fun one. Shout out to WePlay for another great event. Hope they continue keeping on and fighting the good fight. And looking forward to that Star Ladder Minor in a couple of weeks. Play your pubs, folks. It's been a fun time to grind some games. I did a long run. I played 22 hours straight of Dota the other day, Trent. It was pretty fun.
What?
Really? I ended -2, which isn't too bad, considering by the end I was delirious.
Yeah, that's impressive. I'll never be able to do that again. Actually, I can do that when I travel for LAN sometimes. The last time I was in Singapore, I played a bunch of Dota. That was fun. Wow, I haven't played Dota in like 15 days. I haven't played Dota since my baby was born. I guess that's not that surprising.
Yeah, that's fair. That's probably good.
Oh wait, I played 2 games actually. There you go.
Yeah, you played with the stack. We watched one of them. There you go.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. All right, folks. Well, we'll see you next time. Podcast will be up on Simplecast, the Blink Entertainment Network, and per usual, this video going up on YouTube in about 24 hours. So we will see you then. And bye-bye, friends.
Bye, everybody.